So this is what we are going to do. We said we are going to look at an interactive session of R where you can have your code, your output, and even plots or comments, commentaries, everything. So it can be a document where you are writing, which has your code, your notes, your outputs, all in one place. And so we are going to use let me switch the screen to that side. Okay, so as I said, you can have one R session where your code is there, your outputs are there, your graphs, plots, and you can get that output in Word, PDF, PowerPoint, as well as HTML, which means you can open it in a web browser or in one R session. And that is possible because of the Markdown, which has been upgraded to Quarto. Just a little bit easier to do than to do Markdown. And you have the Shiny, which is a web app inside RStudio. Okay. Later, maybe you can look at the Jupyter notebooks, which I've not covered here because I would have needed to download the Jupyter setup or get an Anaconda which has all these integrated. But we are looking at, we don't want to go into an external app, want to stay inside RStudio and continue. So I'll show you how that works. So we are going to do exactly the same linear program that we've done in raw R and create a document which has the comments, the notes, everything. You can export to Word, PDF, PowerPoint, even LaTeX file, Beamer presentation, given that if you have LaTeX or MakeTeX installed and set up on your PC, which I don't, I remove them, so that part will not show, the PDF and the Beamer, but the rest will show. Okay, there I put a lot of resources here that you can look at. So let's go into that. Okay, great. So this is what we are going to do. Now let's start with the Markdown over here. Okay. So exactly the same thing. We want to create a document from it. The Markdown works with the R Markdown package. Okay. So if it's not, in case it's not, you have not installed it, so it can be here, install.packages station R Markdown. I have it installed, so I'll just comment it. Okay. So a few things that you need to see here. What you can do is that you can set the environment and bring your code from your text file and start to insert them. So what you can do, if you go to File here and you go to Open, so there are a number of things. Open R script, which is the blank page we use when we are starting, or you can open a Quarto document, or a R notebook, R Markdown, or a Shiny. So whichever that you choose, it will give you the blank template, and you can populate it with your code. Okay. So when you get the blank, you can edit this part. So I put LP examples, code share day 5, put my name there, and I use this one. So every time that the output is there, it will pick the current date. And a few things that I want to point out to you. We have the setup. So here, saying that each chunk, I'm going to explain what a chunk is. Each chunk should come out with its code and output. If you turn this to false, when you render the document, you get only the output, the code will not show. So that is this one. And you are working from the Markdown package. That's the second. Now, for Markdown, let me write this for you. For Markdown, works in chunks. Okay. So remember, you are going to have R code, output, and output at the same time. So you need to indicate which part of the document is code and which part of the document is text. So you need to do this 1, 2, 3, curly bracket R, and you do another one, 1, 2, 3. You see that it has created a space for you and has created these buttons for you. So if you click here, you see run current chunk. So anything inside this is the typical R code that you know. So if you have a comment that you do not comment, it will give you an error. So you can create series of chunks. It doesn't matter. There's no end. You can have as many as possible. So you can just copy this and you can duplicate them as many as possible. All the chunks that you need, you can do them. So you see each one is a chunk. You can run them separately. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Okay, so those are chunks. Okay, that's fine. So that's how you create your chunk. So you realize that this code is inside the chunk. This is inside the chunk like that. But there's the text part, and this is interesting. So take note. You see this $sign here? If you were inside a chunk, that would be a comment, like here. If you run this one, the install.packages will not run because it's a comment, and that's because we are inside the chunk. But when we come out of the chunk, this $sign is for formatting the text. So it's in levels. If you use $1 sign, the text is the biggest. So if you use $2 signs, you are reducing it. So this will be, say, level 1. If you are in a typical Word document, this will be level 1. This will be level 2. This will be level 3. So when it comes up, we realize that some are bigger, smaller, like that. So as many, if you want to reduce your font, you give it more $signs, but only if you are outside a chunk. Okay. And then for your text, the document that you want to write, you can just type it like you type a typical Word document. If you want to emphasize a portion, you use the $sign. And when you get to a point where you need to run code, you just introduce a chunk. Okay, so let's run. So let's run this chunk. You run that one. R Markdown is installed. We don't have to run this because it's not a chunk, it's not a code. So we can run this as well. Our LP solve is installed. Then we can run each of the chunks. We can put any comments or text in between them. This is another chunk of code, another chunk of code. And put a space in here. And another chunk of code. Now our output can start showing up. So if you run this, you see that we have our success and the output shows. So this one is my text that I wrote, and we can run the last chunk code. Okay. Now, what happens is that if you have an output in your text, in your script, you can use this to close it up, or you can cancel it so that you get your script to be as compact as possible. You don't have to have a very long script, but when you render it out, it will come. There's another option here. If you come to run, you click on the arrow down, you can choose to run all the chunks at a go. So if run chunks below, run all chunks above, run current chunk, or run selected lines, or run all. So you can just run everything. Okay, now once you finish running, you go to, if you click on knit here, it will render it into the default document. So if you run, say, we click on knit here, the last one is Word document. So you see that it's opening as a Word document. Let me show you. Let me close this briefly. So if you come here, we have Word, PDF, HTML. So Word is the first one that is selected. So it's the one that it will pick. Okay. That's the first one. The second is that you can click down here and you can choose HTML or PDF or Word, and that will come. Okay. So let's start with HTML. So it's going to open the browser for us. So this is the output. So you have your code, which is in chunks, it's your text that you wrote, and your output will come as and when they have to come, like this one, like this one. And whenever you read a lot of online books, this is how they are prepared, using Markdown or Shiny. Okay, so that is it. Now, when you start searching our materials online, you may have stumbled upon a website called RPubs, right? You can publish it online there. So if I have an account there, I can link them up there and publish. In fact, I can publish this one now. There's no, every text is not, what is the word? There's no proprietary material there. Okay. So if I have an account, I'll show you. So it will open like this. Then you create an account or you log in and you publish it, and it will be online. So that whoever goes there looking for something like that will find it and use it. Okay. So that's very powerful. You have your code, you have your document, and you can publish it all from one R session. We can render it as PDF, but the PDF works with LaTeX. I think most of the European students will know what LaTeX is. Or maybe you may call it latex, which is maybe based on the MikTeX package. So you realize that I have not set that up, so it will not show. As well as BPT. I'm not sure, it will be halted at some point, yes, because you see, LaTeX failed to compile. Okay, so that's fine. I haven't taken time to set that one up, but the Word, if you have Word document Office on your PC, that one will render for you. So it is opening, but each one of them will be saved in your working directory. So let's switch to the Word. So all in one session. I can share this with anybody, whoever. So that's the R Markdown. Let's look at Quarto, which is just, if you like, upgraded R Markdown. So Quarto is basically the same thing I'll show. So Quarto here, And if you look at the extension, the R Markdown is RMD, the Quarto is QMD. Funny, the Shiny is also RMD, but it uses a different engine to do that. It uses the Shiny engine. Okay, so if you look at the Quarto, you see that it's the same thing, but now the chunks are, you don't need those three symbols before and after. Once you start with this, it creates the chunk for you. So unlike Markdown, where you need to do 1, 2, 3, and then come and do another 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. You realize that once I did that, shift, it changed it to this one. So that's how you create your chunks. You can actually insert. There's if you look at this, let's close this. I don't need this one. You can actually insert chunks. So see, wherever you are, you click here to insert a chunk for you like that. You can delete as well. Where is the delete? And you can move them up and down. There's also insert here, and that can be figures, plots, so that if you are building a document even outside of R, you can insert tables and documents. So let me look at this option. Should be able to delete chunks. Anyway, so those are the chunks. So we can run that as well. It should work fine now. If you look at this, realize that we didn't have to put our dollar, no pound signs. If I delete this, it will show you something. Check this. See heading 1. So you will type it. Once you type, it will. Once you type, you choose the heading that is given there. There are options here that you can play with. Yeah. So you run your chunks, or I can just come here and run all my chunks. Okay. Now for the rendering, if you come here, you see that format HTML, that is the one that is not commented. So that is the one that will render. If I render, it will just open as a browser. It is done. So let's go and see the browser. So nicely done. The heading is there. You alter your name, type, and everything that you need is here. Okay. So you can leave it. Let's go back to our R. So as I said, Beamer is basically LaTeX presentation, PDF presentation. It works with PDF as well. They don't work because of the setup. So let me change to document, and then I'll do PPT. So if you render again, it will, if you see it open the browser, I will say localhost. Then you don't see here, I'll show you. It will open the browser, but it will not show the browser because it's just going to download it to your. So you see that it says localhost. But what it has done is that it has downloaded to your downloads. However, it's already created inside your working directory. So we can open that Word document and see. So like this, let me see. Word document also nicely done, very similar to how the Markdown was. I think I like this font. Okay. And lastly, the PPT. I'm going to comment, document, and uncomment, no, PPT, not PDF. PPTX, where is it? Yes. So you have this option that the editor has, the format has changed, so visual editor has to change. So you just load it again, nothing will happen. And can just render it. That also save it as PDF in your working directory, but download it for you as well. And you see that it has downloaded the PowerPoint. So if your chunks and your writings are well done, you will see that you will have a nice PDF. And now it's PowerPoint. So this is a PowerPoint. Okay. And lastly, the shiny. So shiny is the same thing. You realize that you are using the shiny library rather now, and nothing has changed. You realize that how we choose the chunk from R Markdown is the same thing as how you do that for shiny, and everything is almost the same. The thing with the shiny is that it is restricted to just HTML document because it's actually an applet. So if you run it, it is going to open. It's going to open a browser for you. Let me show you the browser. Yeah, so this is the shiny for you. Almost the same thing across